Welcome back to Sun Country Golf TV. My name is Lehner. I just hit it in a lateral water hazard. Let's go sort it out. Well, as you can tell by that last swing, somebody needs to go to the driving range after work, which I plan on doing. But for today's purposes, we're going to talk about water hazards and specifically lateral water hazards. So Rule 26 in the rule book talks about regular water hazards, which are identified by yellow lines and yellow stakes. It also talks about lateral water hazards, which are identified by red lines and red stakes, and gives us a couple more options to play with than we did with the regular water hazard. So for today's episode of Sun Country Golf TV Rules Edition, we're going to talk about the 5 options you have, like I do now, for hitting it into the lateral water hazard. So my first option is always to play the ball as it lies. If I really want to, I can take off my socks and shoes and hop into the lake and give it a shot. Not always my best option though. Option 2 is another option that I always have on the golf course. I can always take a stroke and distance type of penalty and go back and play it from my previous shot. From here I have 3 more options, but before I let you in on those 3 options, I have to do something first, which is I have to determine where my ball last crossed the margin of this hazard. Okay. The lines, when there are stakes and lines present, the stakes identify the hazard and the lines actually show the margin of the hazard itself. I have to determine where my ball crossed over that line. It has nothing to do with where my ball actually came to rest in the hazard. It is all about where it crossed the margin of this hazard. So as you saw from the swing, I came right in this general area of where this rock was. My guess is, when I've conferred with my fellow competitors, that it probably crossed the margin right in this region right here. So a best practice is to have some tees on you, and I'm going to mark that spot where it last crossed the margin of the hazard with a tee. Okay, so as you saw, I have determined where my ball last crossed the margin of the hazard with the assistance of my fellow competitors. This is the general area where we think it crossed in. So from here, my next 3 options can play out. I've decided on option 1, being playing it as it lies, that I don't want to do that. And option 2, I don't want to go back and play it where I previously played from. So I'm taking option 3. Options 3, 4, and 5 are most prevalently used in this situation. We're going to talk about option 3 at this point. That option is taking the ball and dropping it on a line where it last crossed the margin of the hazard, which is right here in the flag stick. So I take those 2 points and I go back as far as I want on this line, and I can drop it on this line as far back as I want to, okay? All the way back here, and if I wanted to, I can even go up top. The need, I could drop it all the way up here and play it from here. Okay, I've got my breath back from running up the hill and coming back, and I've decided that option doesn't work for me. So I'm moving on to option 4 at this point, which is 2 club lengths from where the ball last crossed the margin of the hazard. So again, I'm going to go back to the point where I placed the tee to find where that ball crossed into the margin of the hazard, and then I'm going to do some measuring. So let me get my driver real quick. From here, I have 2 club lengths, like I said, from where the ball crossed into the margin of the hazard. So what I'm going to do is use the driver to measure the 2 club lengths. A best practice to have is to have an extra tee on you. So I'm going to place the tee there. Now I have a 2 club length area where I can drop my ball no closer to the hole. I'm going to drop, and as long as that ball strikes a part of the course within inside that 2 club lengths, comes to rest, that ball's in play. Okay, it's time for our 5th and final option for today, which is finding a spot equidistant from the hole on the opposite margin of the hazard. You're currently at where we put the previous options into place, where we determined my ball crossed into the hazard earlier on. Now, to implement our 5th option, what I need to do is find that same location on the opposite side of the hazard, equidistant from the hole. A good best practice here is to have some sort of laser with you, or to be able to pace off the yardage to determine a spot that is equidistant from where you're at right now from the hole. So I'm going to do just like I did on the previous side. I'm going to put a tee into the ground, and that marks the same location as it did on the side where you're currently at. And I will now take my driver, just like before, and measure 2 club lengths, place a tee in the ground, and now I have a 2 club length area that I can drop my ball and put it into play. This is a really handy option that even the really good players forget about sometimes. It can really get you out of trouble. Put it into use. Okay, so I've analyzed my 5 options, and I'm picking the one that's the most traditionally used, which is the 2 club lengths from where the ball crossed in the margin of the hazard. I've determined that location like I showed you before. I'm putting the ball in play, and I'm going to take my chances from there. We'll see what happens. Thanks for joining us today on Sun Country Golf TV. Hope you enjoyed it. Look for more rules videos in the future, and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Flickr. Wow, I guess I better go back and watch a video again.